was really weird. Crazy story. I went to like one of the scariest, most dangerous schools in Belgium.
Why is the situation? Because if the nations of the world come and say, you guys are conquerors, you guys stole this land from the nations, and you're now living here, occupying the land. If they ever say that, who would believe that they would say that, right?
Neo-Nazis always say like the conspiracy theorists, right? Like they say like we want to like rule the world. We want to take Hamas out of there.
We could do it.
We could do it.
We don't have to go
We're
in
one
there.
of the most powerful
We
armies
don't
in the
have to
world.
go in there.
We don't have to
go.
even physically. There's different ways. There's drones.
Only
We can pick
planes
them
and
up with
drones.
our drones. Like, there you go, in the sea.
But honestly, like,
Every war, we lose one, we're done for, right? They throw us in the sea, like the beautiful, famous song they're singing. From the river to the sea.
I used to live in Scotland, right? So in Scotland, you have men wear kilts, men wear the skirts.
People actually
and
wear
women
this on the
pants.
streets?
I went to school like.
You went to school
I had
with the skirt?
I wore kilts to school for like a few months. This guy goes to Gaza, takes a picture with this Hamasik. The picture gets brought to Rav Mordechai Eliyahu. And they say, Kvod Rav, what do you think about this picture? And he says, he looks at the picture for a while, and he says, the tefillin are psulot. The tefillin are not kosher.
Welcome to the pod.
All right, guys. Chaim, brother. Chaim. It's the good water of Eretz Yisrael.
Yeah. Talking about good water of Eretz Yisrael, we have something else of Eretz Yisrael.
So we got some new gold over here.
Oh, yeah.
So
Better than the
basically,
real gold.
Anybody who hasn't been following us on Instagram, which you should be, thank you. Shout out to everybody that's watching us from Instagram, that's watching us from Facebook, Telegram, all these different channels that we're on. Make sure you check it out if you're just here on YouTube or listening to us from Spotify and Anchor. Basically, I got a new job recently.
Woo!
Not a few months ago, right? I think 8 weeks ago or so.
It's connected to this thing.
And basically, I'm working here in a gallery, distillery, wine shop. We have really good boutique wines and Israel's First Whisky.
Yes.
So as you probably remember, we did with Shalom on our 7th episode, right? Wow.
Yeah.
We did a review of the Hava bottle back there.
From that distillery.
It's from the same distillery as Nissim Black's private bottle.
I remember actually you saying like maybe we'll get a job or something.
Yeah.
Like now you work for them.
Now I really do. Like are selling number one sellers of their products in Israel besides the distillery themselves.
In the business of Israeli gold.
Yeah, and the whole store, check it out. Tzfat Distillery 148 online. We got all of this and really amazing wines. And this is the first whiskey that was made in Israel in 2014 by an Oleh Chadash, by a new immigrant that came from Canada came home from Canada to Eretz Yisrael.
Bienvenue.
And he said, it's the land flowing with milk and honey. What about whiskey? So he started making whiskey. And it's really amazing. And we need a l'chaim, so let's get it started.
Yeah. Thought you'd never ask.
Yeah.
And this is better than real gold. Real gold you can't drink.
Chavod Zadik, please, if I could.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not an
I got so
alcoholic.
excited.
I'm a chassid. Jeesh.
The difference between alcoholic and a chassid is we drink the same amount, but
We have different kavanah.
with different intentions. Just that.
And someone else pours for us.
And you can't drink alone. That's the main rule.
Yeah.
You can't drink alone.
Yeah.
So
Tov l'chaim, to Eretz Yisrael, to the importance of Eretz Yisrael. May Hashem bless us and all the soldiers watching over us, all the tzaddikim, everybody that's supporting Eretz Yisrael, sending their money here, giving their tzedakah to Eretz Yisrael. Rabbi Nachman
the
says...
prayers. We need the prayers.
Yeah, and Rabbi Nachman says also, we just saw it in Sefer Midot, whoever gives parnasah to the needy of Israel, whoever gives them tzedakah, his parnasah is blessed. So...
Boom!
There you go, guys.
Worth it.
L'chaim, l'chaim. Oh yeah, I came up with something new. Right, we don't want to clink whatever. So there's this comedian online that he like makes basketball videos, and whenever this guy does a move or something in the basketball court, he goes bink bink. So instead of clinking, now we can just go like that.
Bink.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah, whoa, it's real good.
I love it. It's a little bit smoky. This was in a charred
Oh wow,
cask,
I like
oak
it. I like
cask.
the smokiness of it.
They take a brand new oak cask and they char it from inside. They set the cask on fire. It's really crazy. And
What
that's
the
what it is.
heck?
Yeah, no, I like to sip it, Lat. So, basically, a lot going on in Eretz
Yeah,
Yisrael recently.
First of all, it's been a long time since we just two of us have been sitting down
And alone on a podcast.
alone on a
too.
podcast. Yeah, alone.
How have you been, bro?
Well, we see each other all the time, but
Yeah, small
But-
community.
yeah, but yeah, it's been a long time, and yeah, it's good. We got to do this now and then. We're gonna do this more. B'ezrat Hashem, we want to do every other episode. We want to do like one guest.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
We're rolling, we're flowing. But we have new content coming also. Clubhouse. Guys, Clubhouse is now out on Android
yeah.
as well, which allows us non-iPhone users to get access finally. And we're going to be doing a chavruta there, hopefully,
I
weekly.
still have no idea what Clubhouse is, by the
It's
way.
an audio platform. It's like an app for
It's like a big
podcasts,
Zoom call.
kinda. Yeah, but like
but
a
it's
big
Zoom
Zoom
call
audio,
slash
audio call, but like
podcast slash.
exactly, but like a podcast with a live audience, kind of. If you think about it, maybe like that. Yeah, podcast with a live audience, but you don't have to be a podcast. It can be just a talk. It can be a speech. It can be a conversation, discourse, whatever. We're going to be using it to spread
And we
Tanya.
can ping other people in. We can have other people join the conversation, have them ask questions.
So if you're interested in learning Chassidut with us, Chabad Chassidut, Tanya, we're going to start with that, and with the time, hopefully, we're going to go on to many other different books and different things within the Torah. But we'll be starting with Tanya, God willing.
Yeah, we'll be fun.
and
We'll be fun.
Yeah, make sure to join. We'll be posting on Instagram. Stay followed about that, and Facebook as well. Wow,
Yeah.
but it's been a rough few weeks here though. To tell the truth, it's been quite hard in Eretz
Tzfat or
Yisrael.
in Israel? Tzfat
In
actually, it's
Tzfat,
been really good
Yeah.
compared to anywhere else in the world. We're so
Really.
blessed. Thank you, Hashem. Bli ayin hara.
Safe.
May it stay that way.
I mean,
But anywhere else in Israel, man. And
there's
not
a
just
war going
Israel.
on
Forget
outside and no
Israel.
one's safe from.
Everywhere in the world. It's insane. Like, anti-Semitism has gone up by 500%. That's 5 and 2 zeros.
Yeah, I don't know how much I really like. I mean, okay, yeah, it's obviously gone up because we are going through something.
I've never seen something like this. Like,
But that's the
footage
thing, that we see it now.
No.
It does exist all the time, but now we're just seeing it because there's social media.
But the amount and the way, it's different now.
It's definitely
different.
gone up. I'm not
People
saying it's
would have
not going
filmed
up.
it. People always filming stuff. Like, you would have seen stuff come up.
No, but that's what I'm saying. In
By the way, they're trying to
1930s
cover it up.
in the
Like, everyone else
1930s.
is trying to cover it. You see nowhere else in the news about anti-Semitism.
We'll
Only
we'll get to that, but like in the 1930s, you didn't like this wasn't going on. Before that,
exactly.
a
That's
thousand
the
years
point.
ago, it wasn't
That's
going
the
on.
whole point.
It was going on.
In 1930s, this crazy stuff was going that you're seeing now. But like, we had a huge break because people felt bad. 6 million Jews. It was a huge thing. Like, everybody felt ashamed for what happened. Like, the war ended and like it was a huge blow, and people felt bad for us, even though many people were also to blame for not doing anything. Even the United States only joined way late in the war.
Yeah.
When Pearl Harbor happened. They weren't going to do anything. Actually, thank God for Pearl Harbor. Maybe we would have sitting here now. We wouldn't have been sitting here now, maybe, if it wasn't for Pearl Harbor, actually, because they wouldn't have joined.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't have attacked Germany. But anyway, the point is, like, from then until now, we haven't seen as much as now anti-Semitism.
Yeah,
And it's scary to see.
Yeah, usually it's like more or less surrounded around Israel. France and Belgium. You're Belgian. France and Belgium are very problematic areas.
It's very problematic. Always
Germany.
been.
But now it's in America, like New York. You walk down the street as a religious Jew, you're getting attacked. Miami, you're getting attacked. L.A., you're getting beaten up. All these places
And
where the
that's
Jews
shocking, because, like, Belgium, we know. France, we know nothing new. Like, it's basically
But that's the
second
thing,
Marrakesh.
people and everyone in the U.S., they really think that it's never going to happen to them. It's like, no,
Yeah.
in America, it's been so good for 200 years. The Jews have been chilling.
That's how it was in Germany.
Yeah.
Before, everybody would just walk around with kippas, with talit. People would go talit to shul. In the United States. In Belgium, you won't do that. But like in the United States. But now, nobody dares wear even a kippah nowadays. They're afraid to just wear a kippah.
Yeah,
That's it. Even like a little necklace, people are afraid to wear now.
But it's not just, it's not just the civilians, because it's also the states. Like in the U.S. now, there was this Palestinian, Arab, whatever you want to call them, right, that beat up a Jew in Times Square, the middle of Times Square. Nearly killed him. He's getting charged with attempted murder now. He went to jail. Attempted murder. What's his bail to get out of jail? In the meantime, $10,000. That's what the judge says. The judge says, you give us $10,000, you can go home until the trial starts.
How is this
So,
not corrupt?
It's clear whose side they're on and who they're supporting, and it's not, it doesn't matter in the end of the day how much money we make or how much we improve in the area that we move to. It's a real problem. It's a real problem.
Yeah. And we always think when we just fit in, everything will be okay, but it doesn't work. Like, literally, people might think, oh, it's just when you wear a kippah, when you wear, like, a long black coat, like the Haredim, they're getting beat up because the way they dress, they're kind of, like, asking for it. Like, Chas v'shalom, first of all. Like, because someone dresses differently, they're not obviously asking for it. But let's say those are more targeted because of the way they dress. No, I see many videos of people that are completely dressed secular, not even have kippahs, being attacked. How do they know? I don't know. But people know. I remember, actually, when I was in Belgium in a school, was really weird. Crazy story. I went to like one of the scariest, most dangerous schools in Belgium, which was known as actually the best schools for electricity. But around that year, it suddenly opened up to a lot of immigrants from war places like Iraq and like Afghanistan, Syria, all those places. And those people, they literally came from a war, so they're like so on edge. I remember they had like razzias at the place, but once literally a razzia, like meaning like cops were surrounding the whole place, arrested people with knives, with guns.
Around your school?
In my school, with knives, with guns. I remember it was a great school because you had good teachers, but that was it. But I remember one day I was just hanging out with some friends, and yeah, most of the time it was a chill vibe. It wasn't like you didn't feel like hostile all the time. Now and then I got asked if I wanted to join a robbery. I actually got asked that once. But one time one guy came up to me, like he was Russian, and I was hanging out with my friends, and he would hang out sometimes with us too here and there. But he just came up one day to me when we were hanging out at the playground and just pointed at me and was like, "You're a Jew. I know you're a Jew. You're a Jew, aren't you? I know you're a Jew." I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not a Jew. And like the other people, my other friends were like, what are you talking about? You're a Jew. You're a stupid Jew. What are you talking? He's not a Jew. Because nobody knew, not even my friends, for that reason.
And they're cursing him out like, no, don't curse.
Yeah, you're a Jew.
It's
because Jew is actually known as like a curse word in Belgium.
Yeah,
like,
it's common. It's common. It's disgusting but that's the thing, you can't say like the level we've gotten to. This is nothing new. I was reading earlier today that in the Gemara it tells about how the Romans loved acting and the theaters, and they used to get a camel, put black like cloth over it, cover it in like black cloth, and then make it walk in as if it's like mourning on stage. And then they would have like two guys that are like ventriloquists, like throwing their voices, saying like, "Oh, like why is the camel mourning?" And the other one would say, "Oh, because the stupid Jews, they are keeping the mitzvah of Shemitah, like the seventh year, where we don't. The Torah tells us that we're not allowed to work the land. That the seventh year of a farmer's land is just like Shabbat. The whole year you're not allowed to do any processing of the land, and that's a mitzvah that's can only be done in Eretz Yisrael." And the Romans would make fun of us that we keep Shemitah because for a whole entire year, you let your crops pretty much go bad, right? You don't plow them. You don't do anything. The only produce you can eat is for your family. You can't make any money off of it, nothing. You don't touch it, and it all goes bad. And then you have to start a whole new, another 6-year cycle after that. So they would make fun of the Jews for keeping this mitzvah. But in the end of the day, like why do we have this land? It's written in the Torah that, the Torah starts with the story of the creation of the world, how Hashem created the heavens and the stars and the moon and the land and the fish and the sea and everything. And right at the beginning, the first commentary that's printed in every single Jewish Torah, the first commentary from Rashi is, why did the Torah start with the creation of the world? If the Torah is a book of mitzvot, a book of commandments and telling the Jews and the world how to live life, then it should have started from the first commandment, to sanctify the moon, which is 2 books later. So why does it start here with the creation of the world? And Rashi brings a midrash. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak. Rabbi Yitzchak said that, why is this situation? Because if the nations of the world come and say, you guys are conquerors, you guys stole this land from the nations, and you're now living here, occupying the land. If they ever say that, who would believe that they would say that, right? 1,000 years ago, a rabbi wrote this, quoting a rabbi that was 1,500 years before him. If the non-Jews ever say this, you'll be able to say to them what? Just like God created the whole entire universe, he created the land of Israel, and if he took it from the Goyim and gave it to the Jews, he has the permission to do that. It's his land, and no one can say anything. So that shows that it's not even our land. It's not even our land. It's not our land. This is God's land. And he's decided that after 2,000 years of only being a few hundred Jews here, it's time we come back home. It's the easiest time ever to live in the land of Israel, and the gates are open for us.
It's like your job, like your shop. The guy that owns the shop, that owns the Golani distillery, he's like, I want to give this to you. Like, you're gonna like run it. This is a big responsibility.
L'chaim.
L'chaim to that.
I don't know if the l'chaim's in celebration or in order to pass the worry of all the responsibility, but
like the responsibility is like, you want to have this job, like you have a job to do, like this is like mine, but like I trust you. I know you can do something with this.
But there's a purpose, right? The purpose is to make business, to grow the business, to make sure people are taken care of, represent me properly in my store, and I'm not even going to be here, right? I'll be watching over you, I'll be helping you, but I'm not getting involved. That's exactly what Hashem's doing with us. And if we don't act accordingly, God forbid, right? We just went through 2,000 years that we were pushed out because of what happened during the first 2 temples. Yeah. Now we're finally back. We have a mission here. I was just reading as well that, imagine you have a ship, right? You have a ship.
I would like to.
Oh, that would be great. A nice yacht.
Imagine doing the podcast on a ship. Hello, guys.
We could do it. Let's go rent a yacht in Herzliya. But imagine a ship, right? And you have the whole crew and everything. The ship is broken. So you can fix the ship and it goes, right? And you get to your destination. Great, even if it's broken, no problem. But what about if you have a completely perfect ship? It works. Everything's great. Brand new. But it can't make it to its destination.
What's the purpose of it, huh?
It's not even worth it to even set out to sea.
No.
Just might as well stay in the harbor. So that's exactly Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Yisrael for us is our tool. It's the way that we can best be a Jew in the world and fulfill our mission. And if we're not doing it, and if we're not trying to get to the destination, what does it help that we have the ship? What does it help that we have this land if we're not going towards the destination?
I like how Rabbi Rome said it in his video. Go check it out. Amazing video about the Israel-Palestine conflict. He said, if we're not we have no right to live almost there. If we're not doing our job, then why are we there? Why are we here? We're here to do a job. And for years and years, we're trying to figure things out here. And nothing's working, obviously. For years, we have a conflict here. Every 5 to 6 years, another war. And now we just had a war. It looks like it's finishing, hopefully. But what then? In 5 years, another war? Why? Why we have to go through this? Because we're not getting it, that it's not... We're not just here to just chill. You're not just here to be on the beach.
Make money, ways.
Yeah.
Rudy says this as well. Rudy Rockman always says this. Very nice. We made ways. We make all of this cancer research. We make amazing things that save the world, right? It's great.
Yeah.
But that's not it. There's so much more. This is our land to live in, to fulfill our dream, to become real, the nation that we're doing.
We're light to the nations. That's literally what we're supposed to be. And, it looks like the other nations are... frustrated with us.
Yeah, if you're not doing it, I've heard that explained the Jews are the choicest nation. Why is it called Har Sinai, the Mount Sinai? Why is it called Mount Sinai? In Hebrew, the word Sinah is hatred. Yeah. So why is it called the mountain of Sinai, or the mountain of hate?
Oh, wow.
Because l'chaim, shefa. Ki misham yarda sinah la'olam. From there, hatred came down to the world.
Don't you hate this, though?
No, it's okay. It's
That's interesting. You just said hate and your thing spilled.
Because there's too much. The vessels can't handle all the hate, all the light coming down from the Torah. Basically, we got the Torah, and the nations can't stand it. They hate us for it. And then the rabbi went further and he says, why do they hate us? because the Torah says that we have a mission and we have a big role here in the world, and that we're different than the rest of the nations. But if we don't act different, then we're just like them. We're just like them. And what's that worth? How does it help us? We're not like the rest of the nations. It's clear. Like you said, your friend could pick you out. He pointed you out and said, "You're a Jew," and I've had that happen to me as well. A lot of times, a lot of my life, I've been with a big kippah, so it's not been so hard to detect. But a few times it's been that
I didn't even wear anything at all.
They can smell us. They can smell us.
They know.
Just like we can tell, right? We can walk here. You can see a Mizrahi Jew and an Arab. You can tell the difference. Even if they look very, very, very similar externally. It's known. We're different. The hatred that we have in the world is different. No other nation in the world has been hated like us.
And it's time to own it, you know? And it's like the other people, it's like, I find it always funny, like the neo-Nazis always say like the conspiracy theorists, right? Like they say like we control the, we rule the, we want to like control the, rule the world. We want to like we are like the nation, the special one and stuff like that. I mean, they don't say the special one. They say it in like very negative ways. Kinda they're right, you know, they're right. It's not like we control the world, obviously, but we're supposed to lead the world. We're supposed to be an example for the world. Like that's why Hashem chose us. It's not like it's just us and Hashem. No, it's us, and we're like the priestly nation that is supposed to give an example. Like this is what life is supposed to be like, and then like for Hashem, like this beautiful family life we can live and in harmonious ways, and we're supposed to show that to the world and like represent like this is what life really is about, like in peace and living with Torah and mitzvot and kindness. Torah is all about kindness and like loving your fellow as yourself, and like helping each other, giving tzedakah, and like doing all these godly things, and
connecting
like staying
to God
pure, and like not looking at other people's wives and all this type of things. And like, because literally, if you look at the world, what are they doing? Literally the opposite. Like everybody is going out with everybody.
Promiscuity.
Death,
there's
no boundaries.
Gangs, drugs,
it's all free love. There's nothing, and we're supposed to, and they think that's what makes them happy. But at the end of the day, nobody's really happy doing that. We were all there. We both were like kind of in that lifestyle. I mean, we were. Let's be honest. And maybe it's like fun for the moment being, but really, it sucks the life out of you. It's like so depressing and so like empty, and at the end of the day there's nothing there.
You're chasing physicality and meaningless things, and it's kind of like I don't mean this in a bad way. Like the people that I'm about to talk to are doing it from the love of their heart, and that's all they know. But what I've been witnessing, Rabbi Rome talked about this as well. What we witness online, right? There was a huge presence of like Jewish, as big as we can be, right? 15 million people in the world, but as big as we could be on social media, we saw a lot of blue screens and, all these supporting Israel and all these infographics and all these
all
things.
over Instagram and Facebook,
fighting for Israel. And it's good. Baruch Hashem, we got to fight. We have to defend ourselves, and we have to speak out, and especially to
bring some awareness,
expose the truth and all the lies that are in the media, right? But why is it always on some meaningless thing? Oh, we're a nation that deserves a land and deserves to survive, and we have nowhere to go. We only have one land. And like, yeah, the message is right, but like, it's way deeper than that. Let's own this. Own this. Like, forget it. We don't owe you anything. We don't need to explain to you. We don't need to defend ourselves. Nothing. We're just going to do. We need to stop talking in their language of like, we knock on the houses of the Palestinians before we attack the terrorists in order to let the civilians go. Hello, you shot a rocket at us? I don't care who's there.
There's a terrorist shooting at you, shoot back.
You defend yourself, and we don't need to justify it to the nations. It's a cycle that's never going to end.
I get it, like with the knock on the door and all this other stuff where you go.
Go.
Like I understand, I get it, what they mean with like the knock on the door, and like they don't want to kill civilians, and that's the special thing about the Jewish soul. Like you won't see this anywhere. Like, but us as a nation, we don't want to have any civilian casualties. We're trying so hard, but like, and that's what, and they know it. Hamas,
they take advantage.
Know it, and they take advantage of it. They hide behind children and family because they know that we're not gonna do it. They know, like we just can't shoot. We won't do it. And that's the problem, in a way. I mean, we're not going to ever do it, but like, there's other ways to go about it, because like we don't stand our ground. We let people walk over us, basically.
But it's also the Israeli government gives a hand to this, and the army. As a soldier, I experienced this in combat
And no
combat
one's gonna
situations.
respect us if we let people walk over
You're
us.
not allowed to. A soldier's not allowed to use his gun if his life's in threat. Like there's a whole bunch of things. Really, like extreme permission to use your gun in a dangerous situation. And it's like, guys, you're not standing there. You're sitting in an office in Tel Aviv telling me how I'm meant to defend myself when I'm the one in Hebron with fireworks and guns and knives surrounding me and coming towards me. It's there needs to be a big waking up here, because it's like what Rabbi Rome said in his video. At the end of the day, we have a government here, whatever you want to call it, Jewish state, not state, whatever it is.
It's not
Deep
even
state.
working,
It's
because
not
for
working.
5 elections already, we have still no government.
But in the end of the day, it's definitely not. They're not aiming, and they're not pointing us in the direction of Geula, of redemption, of Am Yisrael being Am Yisrael. They're trying to be like other nations.
They're wasting time. We're just wasting time. Like another one. We're not moving anywhere. We're just like stuck in the middle.
And something needs to wake up. Something needs to change. And it's pretty crazy that, like this. Why did this whole last barrage of rockets and fighting with Hamas start? Because a few families got evicted for not paying rent for years, for decades. They didn't pay rent, and now they're getting kicked out of their houses. And because of that, over 5,000 rockets were sent. 200 people needed to die in Gaza. They're all terrorists. They did need to die. 10 people died here in Eretz Yisrael.
By the way, when you hide behind children, and we have to, like, when we do a knock on the door, tell people to get out of the place, and then whose fault is it? It's Hamas' fault. Hamas is responsible for those deaths, not Israel. Very simple. Hamas is responsible. And there's a really hard way to get around those deaths. But I think if we from the start would just go in and take Hamas out of there,
we could do it.
We could do it.
We don't have to go in
We're one
there.
of the most powerful
We
armies
don't
in
have
the
to
world.
go in there.
We don't have to even
go.
physically. There's different ways. There's drones.
Only
We can pick
planes
them
and
up with
drones.
our drones. Like, there you go. In the sea.
But honestly, like more scary than
Select them one by
the
one.
Gaza situation is the Arabs within Israel. Rav Kahana spoke about this years ago, 30 years ago.
That's the thing I don't understand, because it's so, I don't understand. Like, on the other hand, you see so many Arabs do that, right? Like the riots, burning cars, stabbing people in the street. Arabs that live in Israel that have it way better than in Gaza, by the way.
Or in many other Arab
And
countries,
any other
including
countries,
Dubai, Riyadh, and
Yeah.
all these other cities throughout the Middle East. They're chilling in Israel.
They're having a good time. Like they work here in the stores, in the wherever they come deliver your package. They can do
They can
many
work anywhere.
jobs, anywhere
Doctors,
jobs.
their ministers, their police, their generals.
Yeah,
their everything.
exactly. Then the army, high-ranking officers, exactly. But then you have those, right? You have those that work with us, and you can talk with them and joke with them. I was joking the other day with one, about our beards. But then you have the other guys, and you're not sure who you can trust, and it's so weird.
In the end of the day, I'm going to say exactly what's in my heart. Can't trust any of them unless they prove otherwise, and even then we need to be cautious. Bichlal, a Jew, you're not
That's
even...
the result, because even if it's just like 2% or if it's 10% or whatever percent it is, that's already enough to be careful, because you don't know who you can trust. Yeah, it's a lot of people.
100,000 people that are walking around here that are terrorists, and that's
3 million people here.
That's a low number, right?
Yeah.
Because we know it's much higher. And Rav Kahana spoke about this 30 years ago. He said the biggest danger in the state of Israel, in the modern state of Israel, is the Arabs that are doctors, that are policemen, that are judges. And this can sound racist, can sound whatever. It doesn't matter. In the end of the day, this is the only place that right now Hashem is choosing to let us live. And it's the safest place for us to be. And it's meant to be a Jewish place. It's meant to be a Jewish country. And everything that we do here. And they can live here no problem if they respect us and then they accept that we are the rulers of the land. Whether you want to explain it by way of war, that we won the wars, or biblically, or whatever you want. This is our land, and it's written in the Quran as well, several times, that this land belongs to the Jews. There's no question about that. It's written in the Quran, right? If you don't want to accept that, and you don't want to respect that, and you want to attack us, or you want to pull down flags and burn them, or any of the other things that these people are doing, stabbing Jews, shooting rockets at kids, shooting up gas stations, shooting at police, whatever it is, if you're going to do that, there needs to be some new solution. If you're a citizen and you do that, your citizenship will be revoked. You will be moved out of here. You will be put into jail. Whatever it is.
And that's
death
why they walk
sentence.
over us, because we don't do that. We just let them do it. We just let them burn cars.
Which makes you question, what does government really want? What is it that they want? Do they want Geula? Do they want Jewish ideals? Do they want Torah
Doesn't
ideals?
look like it.
Or do they want to be some, who knows, just any random nation like the rest of the world?
Just like the new United States, maybe. Sounds like that's what they... looks like that's what they want to be.
There's going to be a vacancy, too, because that country is falling as well. So
Yeah, you don't want to be like them. You see what happens, yeah.
Get 81 million votes, you can't even speak. But anyway. What can we do, though? What message does it be? Because I don't know. I was kind of like... Everything that I saw going on during this last barrage, I was like, this is not enough. You're doing protests in New York and LA, and you're singing Tel Aviv, Ya Habibi. It's like this is your connection to Judaism. When you go to protest to fight for Israel, these are the songs that you play, Ya Habibi Tel Aviv. Like this is what Am Yisrael's connection to Israel is.
But at
Ya
the same
Habibi Tel
time,
Aviv.
we don't want to also take their fire, because that's all they know. That's only like I can relate.
Yeah, but that's why I'm talking now. What can we give over?
Because what they're doing is good it is good from their perspective, because they don't have like okay, so they're singing Ya Habibi Tel Aviv. Okay, so what? I think from our perspective, people that live in Israel and people that live outside of Israel, we need to understand, like, because people leaving Israel sometimes also, and people don't want to come to Israel now because of what's happening. But you need to open your eyes and see it happens everywhere. Like, it's less safe, actually, outside even though there is no rockets flying. Most of the rockets, by the way, are intercepted. There's maybe, okay, any number counts, but there's 8 people that maybe died from 5,000 rockets. I don't know, maybe it's a bit more. But
the whole history of all the rockets ever fired in Israel in the past 20 years is
more people die from car accidents.
Yeah, by far. It's a very low number. This is by far the safest country. During Corona, we saw that it's the safest country as well, pretty much.
But I think it's important for people to know what says in the Torah. In the Torah, it says Hashem is His eye on us, on Israel, and Israel is the safest place in the world. And why do we need to still prove it? It's been proven through history. We don't need proof. It says in the Torah, but you can look. Every war, we lose one, we're done for, right? They throw us in the sea, like the beautiful, famous song they're singing. From the river to the sea.
Whatever you want to call it will be free. Which is the funniest thing, Palestine, right? You call this nation Palestine. What is Palestine? The word in Hebrew means Polish, an invader. It's after the Philistine. The Philistine are called, what they're called in the Torah is like the arch enemy of the Jews in the land of Israel. Yeah. Why are they called that? Because they came from Europe and invaded here. That nation does not exist at all.
Yeah.
Then the Romans came here. They finally managed to defeat us, and they kicked out the majority of the Jews, took us captive and brought us to Europe and to different places, scattered us across the world. And they used a very common tactic back in the day of when you conquer a certain land, you name it after the regular inhabitants' arch enemy. So the Romans came, they conquered us. How do you stick it to the Jews? Let's call it Palestine. That's like nowadays, if someone were to conquer Israel and name it Iran, or to name it Nazi Germany or whatever, right? So like, that's what they did back then, and the name just stuck. But there is no such thing as a Palestinian. Yasser Arafat, who made the Palestinian Liberation Force, the PLO, which declared the Palestinian state in 1964. 1964, guys. Way after the declaration of the State of Israel. Way after Jews had already been making Aliyah. He was where from? Egypt. Mahmoud Abbas, not from here.
Also, a lot of the Palestinians that you see today are also from Egypt, Jordan. A lot of
Al-Matsri. Al-Matsri, that's a famous Palestinian last name. What is it? Matsri. Mitzrayim. Egypt. Come on, guys.
Of course, there's a lot of people here that are born here. Arabs too. Yeah. And Israelis too. But, what can I say? Also, there's like a lot of Jews, by the way, in the Arab communities. A lot.
Yeah, there's over 60,000 couples every year.
Wow.
Between Jews and Arabs. And they have children, obviously. And you have a lot of these people in the Shtachim.
There's this organization. Do you know what it's called?
Yeah, Lahav.
Lahav, yeah. They take out, actually, Jewish mothers with their children sometimes alone, because they're stuck there and they want to get out, and they help them get out of they literally drive by, they meet, they call and meet on a point, right? And then
they snatch them up. They jump in the car and they just leave as fast as possible.
Drive by.
They let the police know and everything. And it's sad because a lot of these girls, right, they get so romanticized by the Arabs. They want something different, something exotic. So they start dating these guys, and then they take them to the kfar, and they can't leave. Once you go inside the village, then it's very hard to come back out. They take their phones. They start to beat these girls. They start to let the disgusting things happen with them. And it's sad. It's sad. Why? Because Mahmoud treated you so much nicer than the local Jew, and you had to have an exotic boyfriend, and now you're stuck in getting slapped around, and it's like, chaval, what is going on?
I think also part of why they do this to them is because of the propaganda that goes around in Arab villages, like how bad we are. I'm sure like a lot of them think that we actually took the land from them, that we literally took the land. They think like we're bad.
Yeah, no,
But they
for
don't
sure.
know any better.
They're educated in that way.
They're not educated. Like they don't read the Quran. Most people don't read the Quran. Most Jews don't read the Torah. You know, like they don't
like
know.
The same reason that
they
Jews
see the news and that's what they believe.
It's the same reason that the Jews are like, oh, Zionism, and we only have one state, and we have to live in Israel. We have to have our own country like every other nation. That's all they know. They don't know that the Torah has 4,000 years of Jewish presence in Eretz Yisrael, in the land of Israel, and that this is...
They know something, but they don't know why we're here, what we're supposed to do, what our goal is, the Jewish people, as Jewish nation, as Israel.
It's like, what did Rabbi Rome say? So we have this land in order to dira b'tachtonim, to make a dwelling place for God down here.
Yeah.
That's our goal. That is our goal, to bring God down here into this world. And that the best place where you have the highest Wi-Fi connection is the land of Israel.
Listen, we probably invented the Wi-Fi connection in the first place.
At least the laptop and the radio that went with it.
All the particles.
Think about Moshe, right? Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, the greatest prophet to ever live. Literally, it's like speaks to Hashem mouth to mouth. He prayed over 515 prayers to come into Israel. Over 515 prayers until Hashem said, stop, you're not going in.
Yeah.
Stop praying. Don't talk to me about this anymore. You're not going in. And the rabbis asked, what was he trying to do? Why did Moshe want to come to the land? And it's very interesting, the words of the Gemara. The Gemara says, what did Moshe need? Moshe needed to eat from the land of Israel. Moshe needed to drink from the land of Israel, and it's very interesting that land.
The whiskey from Israel.
If you do, Moshe, I got you.
Hey, if there's one reason you should come to Israel,
some good products. So it's funny, right? Like need. That's the language that's used. Need. Why did he need? So what Moshe wanted? Like a lot of people explain, like, oh, he wanted to eat the fruit of the land of Israel. Want and need is two very different things. And the language of the rabbis is very precise. So why did they say, the question that they asked on Moshe Rabbeinu was, what did he need to drink from the land of Israel? He needed to eat from it. Why did he need?
What's the need there?
So the rabbis explain that eating the produce of the land of Israel is a zgula, is like an auspicious thing to get more yirat shamayim, to get more connection to Hashem. So the rabbis are asking, why did Moshe want to come to the land? What does he need? More yirat shamayim?
Yeah,
he needs more connection to Hashem. He's
pretty
the
much
most connected,
there.
right? So that's very interesting. That teaches us how much of a blessing there is in Eretz Yisrael. That by eating the fruit here, by drinking the wine here, by drinking the whiskey made in Eretz Yisrael, you're actually getting way more yirat shamayim. You're getting
even
more
Moshe
connection to Hashem.
Rabbeinu on the top of yirat shamayim would even.
He wanted it. He needed it. He wanted to get in here. There's not one thing that Moshe couldn't have done. And Hashem even told him, anything that you don't do by not going into the land of Israel, because all he wanted to do was the mitzvot. He wanted to do the mitzvot that you can only do here. Shemitah, Orla, Tzumat, Umasot, all these mitzvot that are agricultural commandments that you can only do here, Moshe wanted to do them, even though he could do anything. And Hashem told him, you're not going to do it. Just learn the Torah and teach the Torah to Am Yisrael, and I'll write it. I'll give you the V. I'll check the V that you did it. No, I want to do it. Until Hashem has to tell him, stop praying. You're not going in. So if that's what Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to do, and he never merited to come in here, 40 years he walked towards the border. And now he passed away in Jordan on the East Bank, which, by the way, East Bank is occupied by Arabs. It really belongs to us. East Bank, guys. West Bank is for sure ours. The East Bank is also, though. He wanted to come here, and he couldn't. So, what are we doing? How much parnassah do we need? How much do we need? How long do we need to be in Chutz La'aretz until we realize, come on, it's time to come home?
Yeah. Do you think the message is to come home? Because what if people can't come home, Especially nowadays, it's so difficult. People can't financially.
Why?
People can't because they have to They don't have the actual money to come home and fly. Maybe they cannot like get all the papers. Now some people need to get the vaccine. They need to get like a lot of certain papers. They're not allowed to come in.
You don't need a vaccine. You have to sit in a hotel room or an apartment that you rent for 10 days, and then you can go wherever you want. So if you really want to come, listen, Eretz Yisrael, the first time the Gemara and Rebbe Shimon is introduced in the Gemara, he says 3 gifts were given to Israel, and they all come through hardships. Torah, the land of Israel, and the Olam Haba. It's hard to come here. It is hard to come here.
But some people can come, right? So you're saying for them, you're obviously pushing like come to Israel, right? You're saying come to Israel.
Ideally, yes. If you're
but what
really
if you can't?
amazing
What if you're 15-year-old boy, girl, whatever? You're stuck at home. You know, your parents. You don't have money.
So then for that we have this.
What do we do then?
I just opened this, right?
No way.
It's
by stam?
No, Sefer. I marked it before, but it's Sefer Midot. It's the Aleph-Bet book by Rabbi Nachman. He goes through the whole Aleph-Bet from Aleph until Taf, and he brings different ideas. So there's one on Aleph about Eretz Yisrael, right?
Oh wait, man. Can you hold that?
All right.
I need to take a break. I need to take a commercial break.
So basically, welcome back.
Thanks.
So Rabbi Nachman says here in the Aleph-Bet book in Sefer Midot a few things that are key to what you're saying, right? Someone who can't come. What can a person do?
Yeah. First
things first. It says here, Al yedei ishtokekut she'adam ishtokek leviat Eretz Yisrael, al yedei ze nishpa parnasa gedola. Whoever doesn't have money to come here, Rabbi Nachman says, by way of your longing and desiring and praying to come to the land of Israel, you will receive parnasa. And then hopefully that problem will be taken care of. But if you go and you want to invest again in America, you want to put your money back inside of getting a car, developing your house, opening another business to get more parnasa, it will never end. In the end of the day, you're making that money to come here. All right. Another thing that he says here. This is amazing. This is really, really amazing. לפי חידוש שהאדם מחדש בתורה, כן נמשך לו הערה מקדושת ארץ ישראל. You can't come here? No problem. Make novelties, make new ideas in Torah. Within halacha, of course, within the 70 faces of the Torah. But when you make novelties, you make chidushei Torah, new novel ideas in the Torah, you pull down the holiness of Eretz Yisrael to you no matter where you are.
Let's explain that, because people are going to be like, oh, I just came up, had this random idea, and I think this is a great Torah idea. I came up with this new halacha. Men should all wear skirts.
No.
I wonder, actually, because it's funny how nowadays, by the way, just random thought, now I just said that randomly.
We're going to go to cross-dressing?
But like we say, like there is a halacha that a man needs to dress like man and women need to dress like women. And but actually, interestingly, you would think like, okay, so man cannot dress skirts, right? But like if you look just a few thousand years ago in the Beit HaMikdash,
hundreds of years
ago, people wore skirts, like the Kohanim dresses, yeah. So can we wear dresses?
No, but I asked about this also because I used to live in Scotland, right? So in Scotland, you have men wear kilts, men wear the skirts.
People actually wear this on the streets?
I went to school like that.
You went to school
I had
with the skirt?
I wore kilts to school for like a few months, yeah.
Whoa, do you have pictures?
I have pictures in kilts, yeah. I have tons of pictures in kilts.
Can we put it right here? Show them.
I don't know, guys. Maybe.
Vote. We'll do a vote on Instagram.
Do we post a picture of Elio in a kilt? That's funny. Anyway, so that's another thing. And the main thing, the number one Torah here that he has for Eretz Yisrael. So wait, what was the about that, by the way? Of making... No, so you can't... of wearing a kilt? I don't... I mean... It's a machloket, because some say it's like minhag makom, so that the
custom of the place.
Yeah. But in the end of the day, like, so maybe in Scotland, but not in Israel. You know?
So basically, the lacha is like you man dress like man and women dress like women based on the norm in that place.
Yeah, but the thing is now the norm.
Now the norm is confusing.
It's very cross.
That's funny.
Cross genders, gender pronouns, whatever it is.
Right, next topic.
It's not so clear. Yeah, let's not get too deep. And the most important, the number one Torah that Rabbi Nachman brings here in Sefer Midot for Eretz Yisrael, it says, Al yedei yeshivat Eretz Yisrael masigin ashgachat Hashem itbarach al ha'olam. By way of Jews coming to the land of Israel, sitting here and developing it, making businesses, growing neighborhoods, farming, using the land as a Jew by way of halacha and Torah. By way of that, you bring God's providence over the whole entire world, which I just saw a video I shared on Instagram on our story from Jewish media, like the whole Chabad house of all the videos of the Rebbe. And someone says, Rebbe, do you have a video? Do you have a message for the non-Jews of the world?
Yeah,
you saw it?
Beautiful. Yeah,
what did he say?
I said that they should keep the 7 Noachidic laws, right? What was it exactly?
Yeah. Keep the 7 Noahide laws,
and then
and that will bring peace
to the whole world, right?
To the whole entire world. The Torah is here for the whole entire world. The Jews are here to serve Hashem for the whole entire world. If you bother us in our mission, you're only delaying the process. If you want better life, just look back in history. The nations around Israel all donated towards the first and second temple. Why? Because when they had temples in Jerusalem, they got blessing. We have some golden pimple on the dome there,
and they came too.
And it's not really bringing so much blessing to the world. The pimple on the dome of the rock there. So we need to pop the pimple and put there. Vaka Torah. You want to hear a crazy Torah from Shlomo of Zusha? Shlomo of Zusha of Shlomo from Zusha band. Once I saw them in the old city on a balcony overlooking Har HaBayit, and they sang. There was like a really, really good show. But they always give over Torah in their concerts, like most Jewish artists. And Shlomo said, he looked back, like it was right above, behind his shoulder. He looks back and you can see the gold dome and everything. He says, you know, all 3 of the major religions of the world wear kippahs. Jews, Christians, and Muslims. We all wear some kind of head covering that looks the same.
Yeah.
Right? But only the Jews have a tefillin. So no matter what dome you put on the Temple Mount, as long as it's not a square box like the tefillin, it's not the right thing.
Nah.
The tefillin shel Rosh. Soon we're going to replace that dome, the kippah that everyone has,
building,
and we're going to put the tefillin shel Rosh on there properly. It's
interesting because that's kind of what it looks like, the temple.
It looks like a box of tefillin. That's exactly what he said. That was his inspiration. He looked at it and he says, everyone wears a kippah, but that's not Am Yisrael. Am Yisrael, we have a tefillin shel Rosh on that mountain. And that's what needs to come. That will change the world.
When we become a light to the nations. Because that's what we're here for. For the Jews, I think that's the message, right? Like, that's what the whole... What are we doing? That's the whole thing. We need to be a light to the nations.
And then we make the Dira B'Tachtonim. We bring Hashem down into the world. Like Rabbi Nachman says, you come here and we come and develop the land. Then we bring peace to the world. And what's crazy is the huge spiritual awakening and a lot of enlightenment came to the world after 1967 when the Jews came back here. Right? And if you look at what all of the Israel haters out there say, we need to go back to pre-1967 borders. What's that line called? What is the border from 1967 called? The Green Line. Why is it called the Green Line? Because from a satellite image, or when you fly over Israel, wherever the green started, that's where the Jews were. Because for 2,000 years, this whole land was brown desert, desolate. Nothing would grow here. The Arabs were living here, the majority.
No,
there was a little bit of Jews, but nothing grew. When the Jews came back, everything but the West Bank, which the Jews weren't in there yet, it was still ruled by Jordan at the time, until 1967. In 1967, we conquered it back. Everything else around that was green because the Jews had been there. Wow. And now when you look over, you see that everything is green because there's over 400,000 Jews, settlers, in the West Bank, in Yehuda v'Shomron. So clearly we're meant to be here, and we bring bracha.
And that's just from being here. Can you imagine what it would happen if we would own our Judaism, own being a Jew, meaning like a soldier of God?
2 seconds, everything would be fixed.
And I think if you would ask how to do it for any person, like just own whatever you got. You know, you don't need to be like the Haredi guy with the payas and the long beard and going 3 times to pray. I mean, if you can, do it, please. But if this is not doable for you, then do whatever you can do and own that one. You know,
make
like
one bracha.
Yeah, and own it. Say it with proud. Say it loud. Don't be afraid what 100%. Your friends would say. Say it and if they see you and they're like, what's the most attractive thing? If you would ask girls, right? What's the most attractive thing?
A man who stands up for what he believes in.
Confidence. Yeah. If you do it with confidence, everyone around you will be like, wow, That's a Jew. He's confident and he's observant. He's not afraid, and he knows God is with him.
And it's gonna put fear in other people too, because people, they don't like that when you get too confident,
Yeah.
right? That I had that in school. I was in a public school, 5,000 people. I was the only one that wore a kippah and tzitzit. I got a lot of hate for that, right? A lot of hate, but
I
why?
respect that.
Exactly. So there's some people that respect it, but a lot of Jews couldn't tolerate me.
Yeah.
How are you walking around with such a big kippah?
Because you're making them look like the losers.
Because they know, not that I intended to do that. I was wearing it because that's my connection to Hashem. My Judaism at the time was wearing a big kippah, wearing tzitzit.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even a kosher, like I was barely doing mitzvot and halachot.
But the thing is, you were proud and you were
I
happy
was
doing
living
it.
it. And what I could do, I did it to the fullest. The biggest kippah I could. Nice tzitzit, the most beautiful mitzvah. And it bothered a lot of people. But, you know,
That's it.
helped
Do
me.
it to the fullest. Do it with happiness, and you should do everything with happiness. Whatever you do, don't just do it because you're like, no. Do it with simcha. And if you can't do it with simcha, find a way to do it with simcha. Learn about it. Learn Chassids about it. Anything.
The more you learn about a mitzvah, because in the end of the day, living in
Yeah.
Israel is a mitzvah, right? The more you learn about a mitzvah, the more you appreciate it, the more you
Yeah.
get into it, the more you talk to Hashem.
The more you see the beauty that's in it.
Yeah, Rabbi Deutsch, my rabbi in Jerusalem, always says the same thing about relationships. Relationship depends on the person who wants it least, right? If a person is madly in love with Beyonce, whatever, for the example, right? But Beyonce has no idea who the person
Is
is.
that your child crush?
No. Maybe at times. I can't lie, actually. You know, back in the day, there might have been a little bit of jungle fever, but we're not there anymore. Baruch Hashem. Married and very happy. I got the most beautiful wife in the whole entire world.
Saved it.
Anyways, right? But Beyonce has no idea who this person is. So where's the relationship? He's madly in love, 100% in love with her, but she doesn't know who he is. The relationship's at 0. So Hashem gives us everything that we need: life, breath, money, friends, family, house over our head. Eretz Yisrael. How much do we want him? Where is our level at with Hashem? How much are we putting into that? Because his is 150 gazillion
Can
percent.
come like a percentage near to that.
We couldn't, but we can also be measured, right? How much do I turn to him? How much do I pray to him? You get mad that you can't come into Israel because you needed the vaccine. Did you pray for it? Did you pray to come here?
That's a very good point.
You know, like, you can do anything with prayer. You can change any decree with prayer. So how much do we really want these things? How much do we really want Hashem to be in this world? How much do we want to fulfill our mission as Jews to really be a light to everyone and not out of hate? We don't want to hate any of these nations. We will defend ourselves and we'll kill anybody that tries to kill us.
And you'll see, probably we won't have to, because when we own it, everybody will respect it. Because in the times of Shlomo HaMelech, by the way, all the nations respected Israel. This was the most peaceful time for Israel. Why? Because we owned it. Shlomo HaMelech was like teaching everybody Judaism, proud, happy, and everybody came and listened to the wisdoms and like were coming to serve. They came to bring offerings in the Beit Mikdash.
Melech Shalom Shelo, the king that the peace is his. That's Shlomo HaMelech. It's like, it's amazing. There's a funny story with Rav Mordechai Eliyahu. Did I tell this on the podcast? I don't know.
I don't think so. Maybe.
Rav Mordechai Eliyahu, he had back in the 80s, there was this guy, this like leftist, conservative reform rabbi here in Israel that's trying to make peace with the Arabs. And he went to, Gaza was still open to Jews at the time. Funny how it's not now, apartheid state, so to say. But it was open to Jews at the time, and this rabbi goes to make peace with Hamas. And he takes a picture with a Hamasnik, and the rabbi is wearing tefillin. And they're both, you know, hugging each other, smiling. They're both smiling in the picture. Someone took this picture and brought it to Rav Mordechai Eliyahu and said, Kvod Rav, what do you think about this picture? Now, if you don't know Rav Mordechai Eliyahu, he is a great tzaddik that passed away not a few years ago, a few decades
Used to
ago.
be the head rabbi of Israel once.
Chief rabbi of Israel. He's a walking angel, if you know his stories and the things he did with Eretz Yisrael. He once, in Panama, sold a bottle of Israeli wine for $25,000 just to teach the people how important the land of Israel is. Because they tried to offer him the best French wine. He's like, only land of Israel.
Just to teach how good Jews are in business.
Especially the rabbis. But, so Rav Mordechai Eliyahu, his son now is the chief rabbi of Tzfat. They're amazing tzaddikim.
By the way, if you want to tell one cute story about the rabbi to understand his greatness, besides the goodness in business, they were once flying in a plane, and like they were announcing that there was real trouble with the plane. And like, oh no, they didn't announce it, right? They didn't announce. That wouldn't make sense. But they came to the rabbi because they knew he's a big rabbi, and they asked him to pray. Like they just told him. They didn't tell anyone else. They said, "Can you please?"
Rav Mordechai Eliyahu?
Yeah, Mordechai to pray for the plane because we're going down. And he was like praying, saying Tehillim, saying Tehillim the whole time, and then eventually they landed safely. No, I don't know how many people know about it because they didn't want to tell anyone else. Anyway, continue.
So yeah, no, there's endless miraculous stories with Rav Mordechai Eliyahu.
When he went meeting the president of France, and it was also crazy.
And there's a whole bunch. But anyways, back to this story. This guy goes to Gaza, takes a picture with this Hamasnik. The picture gets brought to Rav Mordechai Eliyahu. And they say, Kvod Rav, what do you think about this picture? And he says, he looks at the picture for a while. And he says, the tefillin are psulot. The tefillin are not kosher. I said, Kvod Rav, how do you know his tefillin are not kosher? You're just looking at a picture. You can't even see the scroll inside to check nothing. You can't see anything about the tefillin. How can it be
X-ray
that the tefillins
vision.
are not kosher? So he says the tefillin are not kosher. So they said, Kvod Rav, please tell us how you know this. You have to see something else. So he says, I see the Hamasnik smiling. There's no way that a person that hates Israel, an enemy of Israel that wants Jewish blood on his hands and wants to kill innocent Jews, can be smiling next to a Jew wearing kosher tefillin. It is not a spiritual reality that will come into the world. The tefillin cannot be kosher. This story got back to this leftist rabbi. He heard about it. He got his tefillin checked, and they were not kosher. And he came to Rav Mordechai Eliyahu personally to tell him that the rabbi was right and that his tefillin were not kosher. So this is not, first of all, the greatness of a rabbi through a picture understanding a situation like that. But it just goes to show that when the Jew is fixed inside, wearing kosher tefillin on the outside, even the most gaivadik, arrogant, terrorist, non-Jew in the world can't stand next to him and smile. There's no reality that he can smile next to a Jew.
Like the story when my rabbi was here, when he was telling with the robbery, with the house robbery, and his wife, the Rebbetzin, was saying to Tehillim while they were at gunpoint, and like he was telling her to stop right away because he was trembling. He got scared because this power, they could feel it, and they couldn't handle it. And then there was a thing with the dollar, and then hand got burned. Anyway, it is.
This week, someone told me, a friend Kola told me a story. There's a tzaddik in America. It was in the beginning. He had to work hard in this factory. He's working for these non-Jews in a factory, and every day he would go off to pray mincha, take a break, 20-minute break to go pray mincha. And one day, like the big boss of the whole factory heard about this. Said, "Where's the Jew?" He says, "Oh, he goes off to pray. To pray on my time. He's praying. He takes a break to go pray on my time." He has a break, right? But the break's meant to be for food or anything. The rabbi takes it to go pray. He doesn't even eat. Continues working afterwards. But this bothered him that he's praying on his break. He took his shotgun and went and put the shotgun behind the Jew during the Amidah. Cocked it. And he has it behind the Jew. The Jew bows down during the Amidah to Hashem. And he shoots. He shot just to scare. He shot in the air just to scare the Jew. And the rabbi didn't flinch. He came back up and continued praying. The whole Amidah. Didn't move a millimeter. The boss said, if that's how he acts after I shoot a shotgun behind his head, he doesn't even flinch, let him do whatever he wants on his break. So it just, there's countless stories of this. The Jew stands up.
They gain respect.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. And that's how the Arab nations work as well. When you treat them with strength, the whole Middle East, everything's being watched right now. And if Israel acts weakly, it's going to be noticed by all the nations. If we act strongly, it's also going to be noticed by the nations. And that's it. We can't be apologetic anymore. We can't be trying to please the United Nations and America and France. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Enough of this. We should leave the UN, Bichal. With that said, this has been quite a rant, guys.
Yeah.
But it had to get out. It had to get out.
I think the main message is just own your Judaism, right? And,
Own it.
Own it. Enjoy it. Have fun with it. And you'll see beautiful, beautiful things will happen.
Only good
and
things.
Bezrat Hashem, it will bring Mashiach.
Amen, amen. L'chaim, l'chaim.
L'chaim. Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Telegram.
Share with a friend if you like this.
Clubhouse
if you think they should
coming up.
see this.
Next week, Clubhouse, we're going to be learning Tanya. Check out all of our last episodes are really amazing. Really, we had Anne Frank on the podcast recently.
Crazy as that sounds, we did.
Rabbi
you have to
Rome,
see it to understand what that means.
Shaliach of the Rebbe. We have a lot of good things coming up soon too. Bezrat Hashem, God willing, and it's just a matter of time, man.
Yeah, Nissim Black in the future, B'ezrat Hashem.
God willing.
Listen, we promised.
We're gonna hold it to it.
Yeah.
we are gonna hold you to it, Nissim.
Yeah. And
But,
many beautiful other Jews. All right.
Chaim, if you guys are interested in any whiskey as well, hit me up. However you can find us, 2 Chassids in a pod. Email us anywhere. Whiskey, rum, arak, gin,
I'm telling you,
mahia,
it's good.
Israeli wines. We ship to the U.S. We ship anywhere. And bracha v'atzlacha, guys.